This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Listen to the melody play. Listen to the music on the play. Listen to my heart break.
And welcome back to the show. We are with NexGen Hearing on Boomer Life talking about getting fitted and walking the road with them at NexGen Hearing. And from the Chilliwack Clinic, we have Andy Rollman, and our in-house expert that hears every show is Dr. Ted Venema. So before the break, we talked about, selecting a hearing aid, and we've done whole shows on the vast array of hearing aids. Some are great for one-on-one talking, some are great for background noise, and depending on, as we mentioned, if you're older and you spend a lot of time at home, but you're with your spouse, it's probably more important about hearing voices and the TV than it is if you worked in a loud kitchen, for example. Yeah. So very different operation.
Absolutely.
So what happens when the client comes in, you've decided the hearing aid, but they haven't put them in yet? What do you do?
When the client comes in, you are assessing, again, you've already done the assessment on them as to, what they need, and you've done your pre-checks, everything. Now the client is coming in. It's so important that when they sit down in front of you, what you're explaining is the reasonable expectations, okay? What can you expect from these things? You've covered that already, but you want to go over it again, okay? What's going on? What can you expect? Once that's been done, it's really important at that point to find out for yourself as a practitioner or as an audiologist, are the hearing aids going to be set up at a proper level? You want to do what's called a real ear measurement. Probe tubes that are put into the ear with the hearing aids in, assessing whether that's going to hit a prescribed target. Now, this prescribed target is something that is common to all ears. It's been researched. It's been tested. But it's important that even after that, once you've done that and you've assessed, the hearing aids can hit a target, great, we're ready to go, that after that, you ask, how does that feel? How is it? How is it for you? And typically what happens is we like to underfit. It's so important.
Well, we've talked about this, Dr. Venema, is that if 10 is the volume that you would end up at, you don't start at 10, right?
No.
You dial it up week after week.
That's
let
right.
people get used to it, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Now, I have sensitive ears. I don't like earbuds in my ear canal, right? But I can have touching the ear or outside of the ear, but anything in my ear gives me a headache. So, are there certain kind of hearing aids that are for people that have sensitive ear canals? Do they have the big banana, the old days?
The big beige bananas that whistle, which was yesterday.
But you must have clients that have sensitive ears, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. There's different styles of hearing aids. There's completely in-canal hearing aids. They call them CIC, hearing aids. There's other hearing aids that are called RIC, receiver in-canal. That's a behind-the-ear style, but the size of a bean, small, with a tiny, thin tube that goes partly into your ear canal. Not all the way inside, but it has a little rubber kind of a tip on it. And that's for mild to moderate, typical, common hearing loss. That's the most common hearing aid fit today.
But back to me with the sensitive ears, do people get used to it after a while? Because for me, I wear earbuds or something when I'm on a plane, and after a few hours, I'm like, I want to get them out, right? But and that's only because I'm doing that occasionally. But if I wore them every day, you do kind of get used to it.
You do.
Yeah. I typically say to a client, at the beginning, if it's bothering you a lot, that wonderful little bottle in your kitchen called olive oil is wonderful. Just a little bit of that on the finger to smooth around into the ears prior to putting the little buds in helps enormously.
Just they don't fly out then?
As yet, no.
But then you need your prescription glasses to find it if it comes out.
That's right.
Okay, so you talked about this real ear measurement.
Yeah.
So you know that the prescription for the hearing aid is almost 100 as a mirror image of what you've lost.
That's
right?
correct.
So if you've lost highs, the highs go up on the hearing aid.
That's right.
So, but you don't start at 10, as I mentioned. You start lower.
No.
So, so you know that with this real ear measurement that you can achieve the prescription that you talked about.
It allows you to visualize what the person's hearing.
So what other parts do you mean when you say you underfit the hearing aid? Is there anything other than just the volume?
Ted, you'll probably touch on that a little bit better than me type of thing. But yeah, typically you're looking at a gain or volume level type of thing, and you're saying, no, in order to acclimatize to that, you're getting all of that right away is just too much.
Too much sensory overload, right?
Sensory overload.
that's right.
It's almost like organ rejection. Okay. And I say to many of my clients, we're not going to throw you into the deep end of the pool right away.
Nope.
We're going to get you in the shallow end and
take
get you
baby
to go.
steps.
Absolutely.
And hearing aids have different programs on them, like for listening in quiet will produce a slightly different kind of sound versus listening in noise. Will produce a different sound for, okay, this is your music program, the kind of quality of sound you want for music. But you never throw all of these things on someone at once. When he or she comes to the office, like Andy said, you take baby steps and you explain things as the visits go on. In week 2 and in week 3, you can start, okay, now did I tell you about this option for your hearing aids? How they work with the television.
How they work with your smartphone.
How they work with your
Absolutely.
smartphone. Let me explain that to you now.
So Andy, when you get somebody comes in and they've had that first fitting, you both feel happy. They go home and they come back a week later. What is the typical reaction after week 1?
Oh, it's incredible. It ranges widely, but it's incredible the reactions they get. They can't believe what they've missed. That is overwhelmingly, that's the reaction. I cannot believe what I've been missing, because they didn't just wake up one morning with hearing loss. It's taken years and years and years and years to get to where it is. And in the process, what they've done is they've compensated. They've developed their new normals, I call them, of listening, making eye contact with people so that they can gauge what's being said. Now, all of a sudden, they've got these devices that they're going, my goodness, I didn't know there were birds every morning. I didn't know there were that many S's and T's in what people said. It's just, those sorts of things happen. So it's quite a range of what people experience. And that's typical.
And they're underfitted at that point.
That's right. And I say to many of them, you got to realize now that I have underfit you. You're not even at the full what we call target yet. That's and what? There's more? Yes, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
There's more.
And typically what happens after fitting one and coming back, are there certain things that maybe they want adjusted?
Oh, sure.
So what is a typical adjustment they were?
Typically, there might be still in that process, there might be still a lot of sharp sounds that they're hearing. We might have to do an adjustment in certain frequencies to be able to, adjust for that. Some of the background noise might be too much, and there's ways that we can go into programming and into the software and adjust that slightly for them. What else, Ted?
You're saying it exactly what it is. It's and the nice thing about Real Ear, again, is that you can see what the person hears. What we do is we insert a little tube into your ear canal, about a couple of centimeters, and we put the hearing aid on top of that tube. And the sound comes from speakers, and it's usually speech sound. And on your computer screen, you can see the person's audiogram, his hearing test. And most people have trouble with treble, as I always say. And as you said earlier, hearing aids compensate by giving a mirror image of what your hearing loss is. And so if you've got better hearing in bass and poorer hearing in treble, your hearing aids are going to give most lift to the treble. That's your prescription. And as Andy said earlier, there is a target based on your hearing loss. These are called fitting methods that are well researched. Anyway, then we can see, is the hearing aid delivering? Well, how far are we meeting target? Well, that's too much. Well, let's back off because this person's a new hearing aid wearer. And then you can see the effects of what the hearing aid is doing. You save that program. So now the person's hearing aids are programmed, often by Bluetooth, wirelessly.
Yeah.
The person's sitting a meter away from the speaker. And that's a whole system where that makes it objective and makes it scientific. We're not out there going, oh, how does that sound? Well, how does that sound? Right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, we do the objective measurement, and then we say, how does that sound?
Right.
And as Andy said, the hearing loss is insidious. It creeps over years. Right. So you can't just build a wall of sound suddenly. You have to gradually get the person used to the sounds that he or she's been missing. And as you
It
said,
really is a rehabilitative method.
Right.
You know, and that's the thing that's so often overlooked, and it's one of the reasons why so many specialists like myself, audiologists and practitioners, we kind of rush the process, I think. And it's important not to, because you are not, I say to many of my clients, if not all, you have not bought or purchased a product. You've purchased a program.
yeah.
There's a big difference there.
Yeah.
Because if they understand that what they've engaged in is not just the purchase of these two little items that many people say, oh my God, those things are so expensive. Wait a minute. You're purchasing an entire program where expertise are involved, prescriptive targets, all of those sorts of things. So,
And literally the program for the hearing aid that you can program.
right.
Right. And the research that has gone into it from that company.
Oh, lots. Just tremendous amount of research.
So what is the sort of number one complaint when people are fitted with a hearing aid? Is the background noise a bit distracting to them? Is that
can be.
typically it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the biggest
Like
complaints.
the car going by is too noisy or something like that.
And keep in mind, even after you've underfit, okay? So once again, like Ted says, you've done this, you know, your target, your prescriptive target. Now you've asked the client, you know, how do things feel and everything. Even after that, there's this awareness that they come into, and there's a lot of those sounds in their environment that they just can't get used to. One of the funniest ones I find is when they're driving home and there's this funny ticking noise that happens. They just get so frustrated and they realize it's their
Turn
indicator,
signal.
their turn signals. And they think, what is that horrible noise? And go to their mechanic and spend thousands of dollars to get this tick fixed. So there's those sorts of things that happen. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to pick up on the follow-up visit and then where you go from that underfit to eventually get there, and how many trips how many times do people come back? We'll find out all about it with Andy Rollman from the Chilliwack NexGen Clinic and Dr. Ted Venema from NexGen on CL 650.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.